people will have standard deduction next year.
Yes.
So
correct.
donations will not, it's itemized.
Schedule A may not be itemized.
Exactly. So I think for some reason, there's more money being given as donations this year. That's the problem. So anyway, we'll see. Okay, Raj. Okay. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Jasna Vadhitamasmavri Om Tishanti Om Arthaya Bodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Amritavarshini Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayim Tvamanusandadhami Bhagvat Geeta Bhavatveshi Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudramaruta Tanvanti Divyaistavaisa Sakramishadai Gatiyam Saga Dhyanavastita Tatkate Shantiyam Yoginaha Yasyantam Navidusura Suragana Devaya Tasmai Namaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha. So let's just chant two verses, 38 and 39 of the 4th chapter, and then we'll go into the 39 today. We're pretty much done with 38. So if you can just repeat after me for verse number 38 of the 4th chapter. Nahi jnanena sadrisham Pavitram iha vidyate Tatsvayam yoga samsiddhaha Kalenatmani vindati Shraddhavan labhate jnanam Tatparaf samyatendriyaha Jnanam labdhva param shantim Achirenadhigacchati. Good that you come today because of the holidays. It's not too many people. So anyway, I think we'll cover a very important verse in the Gita, Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. So it'll be interesting to go into that. And if you want, we can spend more time in the satsang also to answer any questions. And perhaps we might even do some meditation. That might be, because in the Gita we have not done much meditation. We've only done it in the other classes, so we'll use this opportunity to do so. So in verse number 38 we saw that our doing karma, our doing actions in life can actually be used to our own benefit a lot. No doubt about it. And it's very obvious that if you do good actions, then good things happen. Most of the time. Most of the time means that sometimes, despite good actions, good results do not come. That's a possibility. And that means, that simply shows that there are some accumulated, well, one, you can, if despite good actions, if you do not have good results, there can be one of two explanations for it. One is that there is no order. It's just a random thing, and it just, you know, this is the way it is. This is one explanation. The other explanation is there is order, but perhaps the effect of some previous not so good actions overwhelms, you know, my good actions, and therefore I did not get the good results. One of the interesting things is really the premature deaths of young people who are otherwise, you know, good personalities and they're wonderful and so on and so forth, and they just get disappeared from. It's very hard to take. So even in those cases, the amount of sorrow from premature deaths is really, especially, for example, one of our desires of life is that people younger than me should not die, and especially if they are connected to me, like our children. But it happens that find sometimes children at a young age die, and the parents are still there, and the amount of sorrow that arises from that is just amazing. And it's not clear who has more sorrow, the person who dies or the person who is left behind. Because one can argue that one person that has died maybe has a new beginning and so on and so forth, which is exactly how it is. But if it is left back, then the amount of dukkha that you have, you can argue, how did this happen? Anyway, so not veering off the course too much, karma, actions, usually has a proportional effect on my life. So if I do good karmas, then I find that my life gets better, no doubt about it. But only in a very approximate way. But in knowledge, on the other hand, there is nothing like that. And eventually what happens in terms of the very process of this self-knowledge is that even if you do not understand the full freedom, which is difficult to do until you really dedicate your life to it and so on and so forth, and this is all being talked about, even partial knowledge starts to insulate you from problems. And our teachers all say the way it happens, it's very interesting to see how that happens. The way it happens is that the very source of problems, I'm talking about not physical problems like getting hurt. There you can get it self-treated and so on. But sorrow and problems in the mind, which is really the bulk of our problems in life. Physical problems, if you have some physical problems, then there are people who do that. But generally speaking, we are very lucky that we fall sick and then we become okay. So physical problems are not there, but mental problems are the ones that really beset us. And what our acharyas say, the way it insulates you from mental problems is that you find a distance between yourself and the mind. In the beginning, it all appears to be one big wool of wax. When you get upset, you get upset. You don't say, my mind is upset. I am okay, but my mind is upset. You don't do that. Eventually, this is exactly what happens. And I often say this, but this is I find in my life it's really helped a lot, is that when you have an argument, or you have a fight with someone, or somebody says something to you, or you have some problems and so on and so forth, normally you blame disproportionately to yourself. And one of the reasons why this insulation happens is that you begin to realize that this is the other person's problem, not mine. They really, Swami Dayananji gave this example. He says sometimes people who are working in companies, this is a long time ago, he gave this example that you're working in companies and you're trying to impress the boss and so on and so forth. And then Swamiji said, supposing you are passing by in a corridor, the boss and you say good morning to the boss, or good afternoon or something, and the fellow did not respond. The example. So now if you are not thinking straight, you take it onto yourself and say, oh my God, I am not being well perceived. I may be fired. There's going to be off. And I think I'm part of that. All stemming from the fact that the boss didn't respond to you. Swamiji says, the boss has own problems. He was thinking of what his wife said to him and how she was unreasonable, and he was so busy with his thoughts that he completely didn't even think about you at all. And most of the time, this is exactly what happens. So, to summarize the insulation comes from the fact that you find that, listen, I am okay, I'm unnecessarily projecting problems onto myself. Let people behave as they want. This is how to be, and I am not going to be unduly affected by this. This is the things are. This is freedom, not complete freedom. Complete freedom comes when you understand that the nature of the Atma is not to be connected to anything. Just like space cannot be polluted. See, so I don't understand that I am an unpollutable space. I think I'm pollutable space. And ultimate freedom comes from understanding that I am unpollutable, because pollution is a different degree of reality. You can project onto it, but I have absolutely. So this is what is called jnanena sadrisham pavitram ihana vidyate. So we saw that. This is just a summary of that one. Now, in verse number 39, where we will spend some time looking into that today, is a focus on Shraddha. And here Swami Maheswaranji has done a superb job analyzing this. So let's just look at the word meaning first, and then we will go into the complete meaning. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. Shraddhavan means one who has Shraddha. And here the word faith is not very good translation, but there is no English word to translate Shraddha. And I'll explain what that means in a minute. But faith is close enough. Anyway, so Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. In fact, they say Shraddhavan eva labhate jnanam. Only the person that has Shraddha can understand this. I will go into the details in a minute. Then, Shraddhavan labhate jnanam tat paraha samyatendriyaha. So means that one who is devoted and has Shraddha in ample quantity, one who is devoted and has lots of Shraddha and has control over the externality of one's personality. Because this is an inner search, not any kind of an external thing. Jnanam labdhva param shantim. Alone has the ability to become truly free. And that jnanam is what was talked about earlier. Nahi jnanena saddrisham pavitramiha vidyate. And that is what frees from all the problems. Jnanam labdhva param shantim. Param shanti means, Swami Maheshanji makes an interesting point. He says, you are giving aparam shantim every night when you go to sleep. It's called aparam shantim. Means just a simple shantim. You're asleep and you're given sukham. But it is not param shantim. Because it is only temporary. The moment you wake up, all the problems go back to you. But in the jnanam, there is param shanti. Whether you are awake or you are asleep, whether you're dreaming or awake or whatever, doesn't matter. You are free from all problems. Achirena adhigacchati means it's not as though it is going to take forever. It will soon happen. And soon happen when? Shraddhavan eva labhate jnanam. So this is the word meaning. Now let us look at the commentary of the word Shraddha. Beautiful, very good insights into this. So I think we mentioned a little bit of that in the Tuesday night class also. But Shraddha means the following. It means a firm conviction that this will give me a gain. Firm conviction that this will really help me. This is called Shraddha. And that there is some truth in this. So, for example, I think a good example of Shraddha apart from faith, the English word faith means that you are not going to understand this, you just believe in it and don't inquire any further, because I cannot explain this to you, and you're not capable of understanding, and I'm not capable of explaining it to you. So be that as it may, just accept it. That's called belief and a faith. This is not what we are talking about. A good example of this Shraddha is a person who is studying science. And let's say physics and biochemistry or something like that, some advanced application of science. And to understand how the DNA is and how the diseases come about and all those kinds of things. Very advanced biochemistry, biology, and so on and so forth. So now you have, let's say, a 12-year-old child and does not understand any of this, reasonably does not understand, but is now studying. And the study of that person is through Shraddha. Here's what happens. You talk to someone who's 11 or 12 years old, say, what do you want to be? I want to be a scientist. Why? Because I want to understand how microbes and so on and so forth. Well, do you know if this can be done? Yes, I think it can be done. How do you know it? You don't understand it. I don't understand it now, but I am studying, and I'm told that by studying this, I'll be able to understand it. This is a good example of the word Shraddha. It means not blind faith, but a faith that eventually I'll be able to get it. This is called Shraddha. Until understanding, my attempts to continue with it is called Shraddha. Here, Swami Maheshanji makes a beautiful point. He says, you know, supposing you're hungry, and you have Shraddha that by eating your hunger will go away. This is your Shraddha. How do you have this Shraddha? Because from previous experiences you know that food addresses the problem of hunger. You have no doubt about it. So that one means your own experience becomes your own guide. You can even extend it to say that supposing you have some hyperacidity because of eating Indian spicy food. You know, once in a while you go to these, this is what happens, you go to these restaurants, they have dosa and sambar, and the sambars are all not the same. Some of them are really mild, some of them are very spicy. And you eat it and you have hyperacidity, you have all kinds of problems. Your experience shows that by taking some anti-acid pills, the hyperacidity problems will go away. This is called Shraddha. Your experience is a guide. All right, now we have, this is the one thing. Now we have an issue that the Shastra says that your nature is Satyam Jnanam Anantam, Satchit Ananda, means that you are free of death, called Sat, Sat Swarupam. Sat Swarupam means I am. So the amness of the I is not subject to anything, not even subject to time or death or anything. And also you are conscious of it, you're not inert. Like for example, you know, supposing you are told, okay, all right, you want to always be, never be able to die. What if you give you you're permanently disabled and you are in a permanent coma? No, I don't want that. I want to be aware. Okay, another thing by the way is that you may be there always, but you will be in dukkha, in problems. No. I want to be so ananda, existence, ananda, etc. is something I really require. Now Shastra says, do you know that that is already your real nature? I said, no, I didn't know that. Do you get it? No, I don't get it. What are you talking about? You need Shraddha to get it. This is just like saying, don't you know that this is quantum mechanics and so on and so forth? I don't get it. Well, do you want to understand it? Yes. So similarly here also the Shastra says, I know this is not your experience like hunger and spicy food that you can take care of through karma. See there, what is necessary for understanding the problems of spicy food and hunger is karma. Here there is something very funny going on because it is really understanding that my nature is Satchidananda. And it's not clear. Not at all clear, not my experience. All this will come. Let's just do it one step at a time. So, Shastra says this is true. So now I have to have Shraddha towards the Shastra. And you say, no, you prove it to me right now. I think you are just bluffing. Not bluffing. I have no reason. If you don't want to do that, it's okay, but I'm not bluffing. No, but why don't I experience it right now? If I am, that's nature and so on and so forth. You are experiencing it, but you do not, you are mistaking your experience. And let me explain how. No, I don't have the time. I don't have the, okay, fine. All right, don't have the time. Okay, just lead your life. Good luck. Sukham bhava. But there comes a time where you say, really? Is that what you said? Yes. Then I want to get into that. Especially if the person who's saying it, this is an important thing to see. The person who is saying it has no agenda. No agenda. And this is the problem. We don't find in this world many things that has no agenda. It may look like the person has no agenda, but you look deep into it, there is some agenda. And also another thing, both the Shastra and the Guru are necessary. So sometimes, for example, I often quote Swami Maheshananji, Swami Dayanandji, and they said this, and I do this every day. There are two reasons for it. Two reasons for my saying that. One is that I don't want even have an iota of ego that this is my idea. It's interesting that you teach a class and everybody says, wow, he's really good. And I also feel very good that you're telling me that I'm very good. This is my agenda. And by saying these are not my ideas, these are Swami Maheshananji's ideas. All I'm doing is just having the opportunity to, if he was here, he would be saying this. That's all I'm saying. So this is one of the two reasons why I say this, just to keep my ego in check. The other reason is much more important. And that is that this is not my own ideas, but the idea of the entire Shastra, which has been time-tested and has no time to it. It's been coming on through the ages. You try to find something like this. At best you can say this is about 2,000 years old. It's not 2,000 years old. In fact, there's no time to this. It's called Sanatana Dharma. It's there from the very beginning. And the very uniqueness of it, this interesting thing. This is what they say. They say that there is no other proof for it anywhere in the world. And you can see it. You just go outside and you try to say there is something interesting that is being talked about. They'll say, what? You must be crazy. These are strange classes that you're going to. And how can that be true? That's another thing, is that if this has some validity, then how come so few people know it? What about 99%? And so they say the truth is not a democracy. That's what happens in the case of Copernicus. When everybody said the earth is round, there's one guy who said, no. Actually, that's in the Western world. In India, we've always known that the earth is round. Anyway, that's a separate issue. So it's not a democracy. So just look at it. Our Shraddha has to be that this is a unique thing which is not available anywhere. Swami Dayanand used to say that. He said, you know, it'll be wonderful if this is available someplace else. It's not as though we are saying, oh, by the way, we are so good, we're so superior to everybody else, nobody knows this. And by the way, I'm going to charge you a lot of money for it also. It's not like that. I wish there would be, but we don't find it. We look at the culture of the whole world, we find that it is not, you know, some people, they try to look at Greeks, for example. They had their own ideas about gods and, you know, and so on and so forth. Roman and the Western civilization, it's not available anywhere. What can we do? At best, you try to come up with some new age versions of this. And it all has origined, in fact, I tell you what, all of the religious thoughts are really originating from the Vedic thinking. And they distort it in some manner. Distort it. And I remember having a conversation with one of the very senior acharyas of the ashram in Rishikesh, and he was just saying that you know, this was available all over, but just got distorted. And then any new religion that is starting has its own ego, the personality of the person. Buddhism is a good example. It all started with Buddha. And Buddha's thing is, the whole thing is dukkha. Everything is just dukkha. Cessation dukkha means that you're just alone by itself, don't think about it. And this was his own personal ideas. He rejected the Vedas, rejected the Atma, and so on and so forth. So it's a distortion. Anyway, let's not go into that. But the point is that Shraddha is not easy to keep because it is so rare. There is no other pramana. This is how it is done. This requires a lot of Shraddha. Then another point. Shastra says, in order to purify your mind, you need to do karma as yoga. You have to do karma. Your actions have to be done in a certain way where you offer it to the Ishvara, and don't do it for personal gain. You are one with the whole symphony of the creation. That is karma yoga. And that is the only way to improve your mind. Not clear? If you were to, it's not like you have some soap that cleans the cloth. You put it into the washer dryer, and if it is very, you put some strong things and so on. It's not like that. How can karma improve my mind? Is not clear. It requires a lot of shraddha. There's another shraddha. And it's interesting, when I was studying with Swami back there, and I tell you, this is all in my life. I can see my own experience. We used to say all this is mumbo jumbo. All, just give me the real stuff, that this is Atma and meditation and so on and so forth. And this improving of the mind through karma, etc., that's for other people, not for me. My mind is already very clear. It's very shuddha. I'm here, I'm sitting here, this is very clear. You can fool a lot of people, including yourself. You cannot fool Ishvara. What has to happen has to happen. And without the antakarna shuddhi, your experience, if you say this is called experience, if you see the reality of yourself, it doesn't happen. You have to go through with it. It's kind of like a child saying that I think I can understand quantum mechanics. It's no big deal. The equation E is equal to mc square. Yeah, one is on the left hand side, one on the right hand side. You square it. I know what a square means. How energy, and yeah, it's no big deal. And then you start explaining it and you fall apart. Cannot understand it. So, Swamiji says that karma cleaning the antakarna shuddhi, and without antakarna shuddhi, without the purity of the mind, you cannot understand the truth of it. Shraddha. Then another point here, that we've talked about this in this class, that there are 3 elements required. So one of them is Shruti, one of them is Yukti, and the third one is Anubhava. Remember, we've talked about that? So Shruti is that the pramana of the Shruti. Yukti means logic. It should be reasonable. It should be reasonable. So now we have another reason why you need Shraddha. And that means that the reason that you employ in your life is inadequate to explain this. That doesn't mean that you should not employ reason, but you need to employ reason consistent with what the Shruti is saying. And I'll give you an example of that. The example is, when they say this is created, creation, so we think that, yes, something happened and it all created. We're all looking into that. Big Bang, the beginning, and so on and so forth. Shruti says, please understand, there cannot be any real creation without the thing already being there. All you can do is to change the configuration. There's no real creation. This is only a manifestation. So this is what the Shruti says. And so you require a lot of Shraddha. Why not? How can it be there? Maybe it's possible. Maybe it's possible. For example, one of the issues with this that the world was created in days, as some of the Christians believe. If you ask some of the Christian philosophers and so on, how can that be? How can he create 7 days and so on and so forth? He says, why not? Because Ishvara is God is so powerful, so smart. He has complete powers and complete ability. Why can't he do that? You and I cannot do that, but that's because of our limitations in understanding. Ishvara can do anything. But even Ishvara cannot, so the belief would be, why not? He can just pull out of the air and create. I said, no, even the material has to be there somewhere for him to create. So this is what the Shruti says. So it requires a lot of Shraddha with respect to that as well. Then, in the end, the final Shraddha is the Shruti saying that once you have an understanding of yourself fully, clearly, then the whole world has no effect on you. Neither time nor space, not a thing, nothing. No thoughts. You are completely free of it. Shraddha? Not clear? How can that be? How is that possible? I'm struggling with everyday's problems. Then you can say that you can get a little bit more freedom from problems by just doing some eating well and so on. Small things I can see. But I am just a small person living in this huge creation. How can I get rid of this whole creation? Not possible. Shraddha. So this is, Swamiji says that the Shraddha required in order for me to understand this is not ordinary Shraddha. You have to have complete understanding that this is possible. And for that, the second part of this first line comes up. Tat paraha samyatendriya. Tat paraha. Tat paraha means that you have to now focus on this as a very important part of your life. And if you don't do that, if it just requires a sort of like just a study once in a while and your whole life remains the same, it's not going to happen. You have, so tat paraha means, here the English translation is who is devoted. And so yeah, that's devotion or focus. And all of our acharyas have said this. Swami Tattvavedananda ji and so on, everyone has been so. They say that unless you are ready to transform your entire life, and this was true for my life also, because I'm very fortunate that I had the courage and the wisdom to change the course of my life. Because I felt this is something so important. And it's not as though I have achieved it. but at least I know I am on the right direction. And it had to be done by transforming my life. I had to make sure that I am not devoted to becoming a vice president of Hewlett Packard Company. It requires a lot of attention, extra, more than work. You have to really spend a lot of extra time, initiative, politics, all of that is required. And perhaps when I was growing up and working, I did have some ideas that I want to be a big person in this company and so on. Gone. I found there were much more important things to do. And I didn't really shortchange the family. I would still come home, you know, at a reasonable hour. After finishing up my my ashram study, I went back to work because we needed the money. It wasn't until the kids were grown up, so I didn't change anyone, but my whole focus changed and continues to this day. I had to manage my time so that my study and education and my teaching becomes the top priority in my life. This is what is meant by tat paraha. So, Shraddhavan eva labhate jnanam tat paraha samyatendriyaha means that you have you're devoted to yourself away from the trivial pursuits of life. And because you're pulled in all directions, your mind, so all the five sense organs and the mind pulls you away and say, let's do this. Wouldn't it be fun if we did this? And to a certain extent, your family requires it, and you have to fulfill it. But this is what is called kamya karma. Remember, we saw the kamya karma. So in terms of karma, there are four types of karma, just to revise what we said before. So one is called pratishiddha karma. Pratishiddha karma means one that you should clearly avoid, which is not keeping with dharma. You should definitely avoid those. You should not have any kind of a action which hurt people, thoughts, etc. This is easily. Then comes nimitta and naimittika karma. Nimitta karma, which is required daily, is called nimitta karma. Naimittika karma means one which is required once in a while. So nimitta karma, taking care of yourself, taking care of your family, any dependents that you have, providing a home, etc., etc. This is called nimitta karma. Naimittika karma means that whenever something unusual happens in your life, or in other cases, taking care of that. Your own health, you may have a problem of some severe problem that you need surgery for, get that done. And if your family and friends have that, make sure you give them support. It's called naimittika karma. So this is the first one is pratishiddha karma, means these are not good actions. Give them up right away. Then nimitta naimittika can be divided into duties. You should have a sense of duty. Is it something that I need to do? And just reach down to your conscience and follow your conscience. Yes. If you were like this, wouldn't you expect someone else to visit you in the hospital? Birthday greetings, all those kinds of things are naimittika karma. Then the final one is what is called kamya karma. Kamya karma means those karmas that are stemming from your own desires. and desires that are beyond duties. Because duties also require certain desires. For example, to earn money requires that you have a certain desire for earning money. It's important to keep your family and so on. But then over and beyond that is the kamya karma, which really means not necessary, not part of the duty. It is just because of your upbringing, you have some likes and dislikes, and you just feel like doing it. Those need to be given up first. And those are prompted by your sense organs that served you up to this point in fulfilling your duties, but they also have a habit of pulling you away from yourself. So this is what is called samyatendriyaha. So samyatendriyaha means that you are in control of them. And here Swami Tattvavidanandaji's example is, advice is a very good one. I just think he was the first one that really makes a point of illuminating this point. He says, please think of your mind and the sense organ as children. Your children. And what happens is that the child doesn't know any better. The first thought that comes to their mind, they'll say, let's do this. And they get their parents to pull along. I want to get an ice cream. No, you just had it last week. No, Mom, can I have this candy? Or can I do this? Can we play some longer times with my friends? And so parents have to say, listen, you've had enough. It's time to study. If you don't study, you're going to have a problem in your life. And I know you want to play, but you're not going to play today. That's enough. So to treat your mind like a child is a very good way. Because your mind proposes, because it's empty at this point. It has some desires, and separate yourself from it, and then say no. Not today. I'm not going to do this. It will pull you in all kinds of directions. So to keep the attention to yourself, rather than trivial pursuits, is what is called samyatendriyaha. So now we can finish this first line. Shraddhavan eva labhat. I'm just adding the word eva. It means alone. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. Actually, this verse, this portion, because the Bhagwad Gita is really restating a lot of the Upanishads. So in some Upanishad it says Shraddhavan eva labhate jnanam. So means that only a person that has the Shraddha can get this knowledge. Not only just ordinary Shraddha, but Tatparaha, one who is devoted to this, who has a focus on this, and one who is in control of silly desires that are trivial and keep you away from this. Samyate Indriya. Then the second line shows Jnanam labdhva param shantim. And so if you are able to do this, your results are phenomenal. Param shantim. Ordinary shantim you get every night when you go to sleep. Param shanti means totally sleep or awake or anything. Achirena digacchati. You will reach there in some not too long a period. It will happen. So don't think this is take you a long time. It will happen. So let's do some meditation now, which we have not really done very much of for a short time. Om Namaste Astu Bhagavan Vishveshwaraya Mahadevaya Triambakaya Tripurantakaya Trikalagnikalaya Kalagnirudraya Neelakantaya Mrityunjayaya Sarveshwaraya Sadashivaya Sriman Mahadevaya Namaha. In meditation, I try to move from my current conclusion, my current state, that I am a Jivatma. So the Jivatma can be defined as a conscious being, Atma being a conscious entity, but a conscious being which is endowed with a personality, which I am. That is the Jivatma. And the personality consists of my sthula sharira, my body, sukshma sharira, which is my mind, and karana sharira, which is ignorance. This is my personality. I am so tall, my skin color is so much so, I am the daughter or son of someone, and so on. Knowledgeable about some things, ignorant about other things. My profile. This profile is conceptualized by the word jiva, defined by it, not only conceptualized but defined by it. So my current state is that I am a jivatma. In other words, I am a conscious with a profile. I know I'm conscious, but my consciousness has a profile, has a personality. This is where I am today. So Vedanta says, Shastra says, yes, we know you think you are the Jivatma. You think you are the Jivatma. But maybe point out that you're taking yourself as a Jivatma is just an assumption. You are actually Paramatma. And what do you mean by Paramatma? We mean the following. As a Jivatma, it is accurate to say that you had a beginning. It is accurate to say that you are changing. You were a small baby with increases in sizes. It is accurate to say that that form will be lost one day. It is accurate to say that this form of a body and mind is supported by the external world, like food, by friendships, by companionship. Yes, Jivatma is dependent on a number of factors. It has a finite life. Paramatma is also a conscious being. But without the profile of a Jivatma. It does not have a beginning. Does not have an end. has no changes. It is the very basis of the Jivatma. It is independently existing. It's not dependent on the support of the external world. It does not need food to survive. It is in fact the basis of the entire set of experiences in your life. The Jivatma is like a room space. It is space, but with a profile. It has a shape. And it had a beginning. And is subject to going away. And even when it is there, it is subject to the external world. Pollution is being filled or staying empty. Are all part of the profile of the room space. But the room space is like the Jivatma, and it is okay to have a profile, but the profile, the personality, is just a temporary impression not the reality of the room space. The only reality of room space is space. Unlimited, having no beginning, no end. Qualities of the perfected. Even when people say the space is blue, the blue the space will, if the darkness and light in meditation, I see the reality of myself, Jivatma, but the Atma. I am a conscious being, period. I don't need a profile. I don't have a profile. This is the purpose of meditation, nididhyasanam. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Well, everybody have a nice holiday, and we will see you weeks from today. What is it, the 2nd of January, I think? Saturday?
2nd is Tuesday.
2nd is Tuesday? 6th?
6th.
6th of January. Okay. Good. All right, all the best. See you.